My audio's not working. I can't hear you, bud. Oh, I have you muted. Holy shit. Yo, what the fuck? Okay. Have
There you
we
go.
interacted before?
You had me muted. Well, that would explain why you can't hear.
Have we interacted before?
I think so, actually. I
Oh,
think in a different server, but then you got kicked out.
oh fuck. Okay. That's
Right.
funny.
And I tried to set up something with you, as a matter of fact, but they kicked you out too fast.
Oh, damn. Missed opportunity.
Right.
Okay.
I want to say the right server, maybe.
The what?
The right server, maybe.
I
They're
don't.
pretty low
Oh.
tier dudes, honestly.
Alright, so what's poppin', bud? It's 7:59
All right.
p.m. We're here
Yeah, I
early.
know.
We got a head start.
Early.
Let's do this. What's going
All
on?
right. Well, like I said, I really wanted to do like a Q&A type thing, like, yeah, the whole debate in Trump. I'm not like trying to debate Donald Trump with you. I mean, I
Okay.
clearly know where you stand here. Like, I'm not like a Trump guy or anything. I'm not wearing no MAGA hat or none of that stuff.
Okay.
Right. But I'm not, a Bernie Sanders bro or, an anti-fascist either.
Okay.
Right. I don't know. Is this live now? I mean, you're not like just instantly going live on me or anything here,
I
are you?
was planning on recording this.
Okay, that's cool. That's actually what I was planning on doing too. So
There you
right
go.
on, right on. Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to get the some background here, and yeah, you can ask me. Plenty of questions too. Right, not a problem there.
Okay.
I'm not worried about questions. Like, how did you turn into what you are today? Like, I mean, obviously you weren't always who you are today. You weren't always having your Antifa flag in the back and you know taking the we'll just call them supplements. You know, you weren't always this person. So, like, where did that journey begin?
Um, I don't know. When I was fucking a kid, I guess.
Well, that's pretty general. I mean, this. I mean, I'm looking for something a little more specific here. I mean, when I was a kid, I mean, what happened in your childhood then that would have steered you down this path? I mean, I got to assume. I mean, again, this is just me assuming, but you probably had like a fairly normal childhood. Maybe you went to church, maybe you didn't. I don't know,
I did not.
but but normalcy. I mean, you get where I'm going as far as normalcy goes, right? Like
I don't know. I feel like my childhood was somewhat irregular.
at what age? I mean, are we talking like really early? I mean, like here, I'll just give you a frame of reference here as far as what I mean by normal. Like my childhood, I had siblings, a mom and a dad. We went to church, not all the time, but fairly regularly. Wasn't like super religious or anything, but we went. Um, like I played sports growing up. You know, the typical story basically for a young boy, right?
Okay.
So that's where I'm trying to go is like where you steered to like this different path, like the path that you're on today.
I was poor when I grew up. I had no siblings. I had a half brother, but we had different parents, so we didn't live together or anything. So I saw him every once in a while, but I didn't live with him. Single mom. You guessed that one correctly earlier.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That
You
I
got that
kind of
one.
figured out,
Bingo,
right?
right? Uh, um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I went to a small school.
Like a
Uh,
small town.
Small town, that's correct. Small
Now,
town,
now,
small
now,
school.
here you go. In school, like, well, let me ask you. I mean, is it okay to ask how old you are? I mean, you don't
I'm
have to, I guess, be
24.
24. Okay, that's what I kind of figured too. I was telling the other guys that I talked to, I was guessing 23. So, yeah,
You're close. You're
right,
close.
right. I think I'm getting a little closer to home on some of these things than I was getting credit for
That
earlier.
may
But
be
yeah,
true. That may be true.
right.
I'll give you that one.
So, like in school, I mean, like again, when you were young, I mean, did you always like display this kind of behavior when you were younger? I mean, like, when did you start displaying like this,
What is this
you know,
kind?
alternate lifestyle? Let's use the term alternate lifestyle.
What is an alternate lifestyle? What are you talking about?
What am I talking? I feel that was a bit of a disingenuous question there.
Well,
Uh,
I don't know what you mean. I really have no idea.
well, how does the term alternative lifestyle typically get used?
I don't know. Like,
You don't know.
what
You
is
don't know.
alternative? Like, if anyone likes, I don't know, the color green when blue is in fashion, I don't know. What are you talking about? Like, in reference to?
In reference to sexual orientation, gender identity.
I don't know. I kind of thought I was gay or whatever when I was in like second, third grade. Um, but I never expressed that. I didn't
Okay,
express anything.
okay, fair, fair. So you thought it in like second or third grade, but you didn't express it.
Yes,
That's
that's
fair.
correct.
Now, what made you think it at such a young age? Like second grade is pretty young.
I don't know. It just happens. Like, I don't know. You ever have a crush on someone around that time? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not.
In the second grade. I mean, well, again, I mean, human behavior throughout history would, statistically speaking, if you're going to have a crush on someone at that young of an age, it would have been the opposite sex or gender, I guess, whatever you want to call it, right?
Well, that's where we're getting at here.
Well, I'm just asking, I'm not like trying to attack your
I
character
know.
or
I'm just
something here.
saying. Like, you asked for when did I think this originally? Maybe second or third grade. I don't know. I don't really remember. It's not something they have a formalized thought on. This is where I began. I don't know. It's just kind of things happen and you just
Okay,
deal with it.
okay, okay, fair enough, fair enough. I won't keep pressing the issue, right? Like,
Okay.
yeah, you just decided in second grade that you know, had this attraction, but you didn't act on it. You're right. Fair enough. Um, now, obviously, at that age, you weren't, like as politically active or, informed or whatever, right? But what kind of outlook on life did you have at that point in your life? I mean, second
When
grade. I
when
mean,
I
we can
was
go a little further ahead, like say,
like
like
10, like
yeah, like 10. Yeah, like we'll say like middle school. Did you start like acting on any of the feelings you were having in middle school, or were you
no.
still no? So how did you look at the world at that point? Were you still like fairly optimistic? Because you seem to be, nowadays fairly doom and gloom.
No, I've been depressed probably as long since I was 13 or so. I was really
Okay,
poor. We wouldn't have food most days. It was very rough stuff. So I was very depressed at that point. But as far as doom and gloom nowadays, I'm not really doom and gloom. I think the world might end, but that's not my personal outlook.
well, it's the whole anarchy thing.
That's not doom
I
and
mean, you
gloom.
are an anarchist, right?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, right. I mean, I thought that went without saying, but I figured I may as well ask.
There you go.
Right. So what led you more down the anarchy path there to like outright, declare yourself an anarchist, essentially?
Um, I'm a huge fan of free speech. I don't like government cover-ups, censorship, overreach, abuses. I dealt with cops a lot as a kid.
How
Nine
did you deal
times
with
out of
cops? How did you
uh,
deal with cops as a kid?
just we were very poor, so we went through evictions, that kind of stuff. They were always very rude, very obnoxious, and even when we got an extension, things like that, they would still be very obnoxious. They would hound my family, that kind of stuff. And we lived in a small town, so it was just like, okay, whatever. Um, so that was like when I was around like starting when I was like 10, 11, 12, around that range. Was where we started to get very poor as opposed to regular poor, right?
Very poor.
Um,
Okay.
where we were dealing with housing issues. And so again,
Okay.
I just didn't like cops from the outset. So as
Okay.
far as
Well,
being an
cops were
anarchist,
showing
I
up to
don't like
kick you out as
authority.
a cops were showing up to kick you out of your house as a kid because yeah, the bills aren't getting paid. I can see as a child having a resentment towards police because they're showing up. You're looking at them possibly as, they're the ones who are forcing us to leave when in reality you're being forced to leave because of not paying your rent, right? But I
Sure.
mean, poorness is poorness, sure. I can see where some resentment towards cops would come from there, but I don't know about in the long run. I mean, I don't see why getting kicked out of your house would make you have a resentment for police,
Well,
especially.
you asked about when it started. I can give you a
Oh,
lot more
fair enough.
examples.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, go on.
I mean, I got swatted before, and the police were very belligerent, and they abused my mother quite significantly and myself. And that was
I actually
two
did catch
years
a little
ago.
bit of that video, a little bit. Like, I
A
haven't
little
seen
bit.
much of your content,
Okay.
honestly. But, like, I searched your name and I seen that. And, yeah, I was going to actually ask you about that. I'm glad you touched on it. 'Cause you said it was Adam Waffen that did
Yes.
it. And
Or
it
someone
really
connected to
reads
Adam
more like
Waffen.
a 4chan thing to me than, some kind of weird, right wing, siege guys.
I don't know. All I know is what's reported on the media. So
Well, I
I
mean,
just read the
do you believe the
documents.
media? Do you believe the media?
If it's in the documents and I see it in the documents and I see three, four, five different articles cite the same
I
things,
mean, here you go. The media says the Proud Boys are white supremacists. Do you think they're white
I
supremacists?
absolutely think they're white supremacists.
Really? Even though their leader's a black Hispanic guy?
Yeah.
So how would you? What kind of white supremacist do you really think has a black Hispanic guy as their leader?
There are always people that are willing to sell out their own people for like
Could we call
tokenized
that
status.
extremely well? Well, as their leader, okay, I'll give you that. Yeah, race traders. Yeah, there's plenty of race traders. Like, here you go. I could flip that same coin, and I could call you a race trader. But
Sure.
I
Damn
mean,
fucking right, buddy.
right. I mean, you just admitted to it for.
I
I
I did
didn't
not
really even have
admit.
to.
I clarified that I am indeed a race trader. What you said, that claim is completely accurate, wholeheartedly 100% correct.
Okay, okay. So I mean, are you in a position of leadership within the race that you're helping out?
No.
Do you know of any people that are in positions of leadership within the race that Antifa is helping out
I don't first of all, what
that are
is the race?
non-blacks?
What is that? Wait, okay. So Antifa's helping out a race?
Well, Black Lives Matter, right? I
Sure,
mean,
right?
they're like comrades, right? Allies. I
Mhm.
mean, that's fair. I mean, I'm not like
So,
putting words in anybody's mouth
yeah,
there or
no, I'm
making
just trying to make sure
assumptions.
I understand this. So Antifa's helping out the black people, and you're
Well, the Black
asking
Lives
me.
Matter movement. It's not the
Sure.
black people. It's
Okay. Well,
Black
you
Lives
said the
Matter.
race, so that I would assume
Well,
that
well,
meant
the Black
everyone.
Lives Matter organization is a racially based organization.
Well, it's not racially based. There's white people in it.
Antifa isn't a racially based organization.
Well, and they're both not really organizations. There's
Oh,
organizations
right,
that
right, right.
are
No structured
under.
leadership, right? The
Yes.
whole. I know the excuse behind it, right?
Well, if you excuse,
Well, here you go.
clarification, details,
What white
definitions.
groups would you call a organization then?
Say that again?
What kind of white supremacist groups? Or is Adam Waffen an organization?
I'm not sure. I've not looked into it too much, to be honest with you.
Okay, so you're just throwing a name out there, but you're not sure if it's an organization either. Do you feel it's unfair that the media throws out Antifa's name all the time, even though they're not an organization?
I have a lot of criticisms with the media when it comes to how
Well,
they cover
that's not what I
protesters.
asked.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I do
asked
think it's a
about that.
problem.
So you throwing Adam Waffen out there, but they're not an organization.
I
You
don't
can do
know what they
that.
are. All I
But
know
right,
is
you
what I'm
just
seeing
right,
in court documents.
right.
If the
Well,
courtrooms are wrong and the judges are wrong and the lawyers are wrong or whatever, hey, that's on them as far as I'm concerned.
how many people have to be a part of a? We'll call it a movement. Then is Antifa a movement then, or is it just an
You could
idea?
say
Which
it's a movement.
should I use the term idea or movement?
Idea is kind of basic. It's a
Right.
philosophy.
That's the Joe Biden line. That was pretty
Right,
weak.
yeah.
Right. Terrible line. So movement's better.
I movement, philosophy, that kind of
Okay.
thing.
How
Like
many
you
how
could
many
be a
people do you think?
libertarian without being in the libertarian party. Like
Yeah,
there may be organizations called Black Lives Matter. That doesn't
okay.
mean that if you think that Black Lives Matter, you're automatically affiliated with them.
So is it the Antifa party then? Can we call it party?
Well, it's not a party because it's not. There's no
Well, it's
organization or
got a lot of
structure.
people that follow that movement. A lot of people involved in that
Well,
movement.
what
Just
is a
like,
party? Like a
well,
political
well, well, you
party?
said the Libertarian Party, but then you gave these examples of people who aren't active libertarians, like they're
Well,
not
my
street level
example is just like
protesters,
you can
but they're
be,
still
you can have a
libertarians,
political
right?
ideology without being a member of an organization.
Well, again, you used this example about libertarians
Yeah,
being the Libertarian Party. Okay, so they don't have to be active, members street protesting, but they're still, libertarians, right?
yeah, they're
So you could say the same.
anti-fascists.
You could say the same thing about Antifa, right? There's plenty of. Is that fair?
Sure.
Okay, so would Antifa be a party then? No, still
I
not
don't
a
think
party.
it. I don't think so because that implies that they have like
Well, you do have a candidate running in Portland, so I mean that would kind of make it a party, don't you
no,
think?
no, because I don't think there's.
No.
I'm pretty sure she's running as like an independent or a Democrat or something. I don't
Well,
know.
yeah,
I
that's
don't live in
because
Portland.
she's right, right. So, do you support this woman running?
I don't live in Portland.
Well,
If there is
have
an
you not looked into it?
anti-fascist that's running for mayor in Portland, I know she's polling ahead. If an anti-fascist
Is
is
Tim
mayor,
Wheeler a
that's awesome.
fascist?
Is Ted
Is Tim
Wheeler?
Wheeler a
I don't.
fascist?
I don't live in Portland. I don't have nearly
No,
enough
but you don't
information
know.
to make any sort of
Is
declaration
Donald
on it.
Trump a fascist?
I would say he at least desires to be, at the very least.
Desires to be. Why do you think he desires to be a fascist?
Uh, just the way he talks about people, like the whole like thing
Talks about
recently
people.
with the yes, talks about people. Right, you're doing the thing. So
Like
like the
who?
recent thing with the motorcade, where he like waves at like a crowd of like maybe 100 people,
Okay.
that kind of stuff. The whole like these are my people, like like I think there was this one point at a like a rally where he was calling people his fans. That was really funny. Like he's
So other politicians don't do these kind of things, like wave at people, and like you don't think Obama ever waved at people when he
well,
drove by
there's a
when he was
context when
president?
this wave that you're doing is during
I mean,
when you're apparently supposedly at a hospital, and you have an infectious disease
I'm
that
just
you're
looking for
exposing
better
because
examples. Like these,
I'm
I
I'm
feel
just
these are
writing
really
off
weak
like recent
examples.
stuff. I'm like in the last month or so. I'm just giving you recent stuff.
I
You want
mean,
to
I
go
feel like
further
these are
back?
really weak examples, though.
I'm just again, this is like stuff that happens weeks ago, a month ago. Like
I mean, this sounds like feeling stuff. Honestly, it really does.
okay,
There's
it's
no
feeling
facts
stuff.
here.
Right? Yeah, there's no
It
facts.
really is.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's true. I mean, I'm not lying about
Well, like I
anything.
said, like, am I saying he is a fascist? Maybe, but I'm saying he personally desires to be a fascist, and what that is
Well,
it's
you
a
can't tell what he personally
speculation.
desires.
Yeah, exactly. It's a
I mean,
speculation based on their behaviors. So I'm describing their behaviors.
but these behaviors is describing, I mean, all politicians do this kind of stuff. They wave at people. I mean,
Right? Wait, they
I
all
could point at
wave
left-wing
after.
politicians that say some pretty nutty stuff, and I mean, I'm not calling them fascists.
Okay, but again, I can give you more examples if
Okay,
you
go on.
want.
Right?
Like
Yes, I
him
do.
saying he won the popular vote and that California cheated in 2016. That's definitely having a fascist tendency, undermining democracy, for example. Him saying that mail-in ballots are fraudulent, right, and saying that the Democrats are going to try to rig the election. That's totally setting up legalized court battles, which is why he's pushing through the Supreme Court nominee. There's many routes that he is opening himself up for. Look at the debate, where he tells a group like the Proud Boys to stand back and stand by, and then doubles down shortly afterward and says that people need to go and become poll watchers, right? And he's signaling that they should do it in these swing states like Wisconsin, maybe swing districts. That's all very easy to find out if you just look it up or have a basic Slack
Now
channel.
here you go. Now let's, since you bring up the Proud Boys, are they burning anything? Are they looting anything? Are they? Have they been? Now let's be honest. Proud Boys get violent, but they get violent when violence is brought upon them.
Right, okay. So
That's
like
how it works.
go
Antifa attacks the Proud Boys, and the
right.
Proud Boys attack back.
So the Proud Boys going into a city they don't live in and bear macing people.
Well, Antifa is
That's like
going into
that's the
cities they
prologue.
don't live in
No,
and
no,
burning
well,
and looting.
right, okay, but you're saying that one's good and one's not good. That's what you're trying to say. Like if you
No,
were to
no.
say
What I'm
both are
saying
bad,
is, no. What I'm saying is that if these other people are showing up, to defend other people. Like like that's what the Proud Boys are mostly known for, is showing up to defend like right-wing protest groups like Patriot Prayer and stuff like that.
Sure, yeah.
Right, because Antifa shows up and tries to bully these guys who are a little weaker, and then the Proud Boys show up, and Antifa really doesn't have much muscle as far as that goes.
Sure. I appreciate the
that's
editorial.
That's what most of the Proud Boys do. I mean, let's be honest.
It's
according to you, they're white
resulted in people
supremacists,
dying.
though.
Like, it's resulted in people dying recently. And
Oh, yeah,
it's
that's
becoming
right.
a
That's
huge
right.
problem.
Left-wing riots have resulted in people dying. Absolutely.
I wouldn't say riots are left-wing or right-wing.
You don't think so? So there's right-wingers out there doing that stuff right now?
Absolutely. Look at
Where?
people like Kyle Rittenhouse.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Shot 3 people.
So he was Kyle Rittenhouse a rioter?
He went to a riot, had a
Was
gun
he a
that
rioter?
he was not
Was
authorized
he a
to
rioter?
have.
That's what
Yes.
I asked you.
Under the
Yes.
definition of what a riot
He
would
was a
be,
rioter.
he had a gun that he was not legally able to carry. He was past a
No,
curfew.
he was legally able to carry the gun.
Right, okay. So state
All
law
right,
doesn't
okay.
matter. He was out
Right,
past
that's
curfew
the
either
state
way.
law, right.
Hey, the sheriff himself, actually.
Yeah, he was out past curfew. There was a curfew. Like, everybody was breaking the curfew.
So,
right?
yeah, exactly. Everyone that was a rioter. Therefore, Kyle was a rioter. But my point is, there's a lot of people, riots are extremely unstable, and there's a lot of moving parts. You can't just say everything that happens is connected to left wing when
Well, here you
there
go.
are.
Do you think there's anybody that's politically right that's participating in the looting? Because you're saying it's this fluid thing where you
I
can't
would
tell
say so, yeah.
who is where. So
I
you
would
think there's
say-
like MAGA guys out there that are looting shit?
I wouldn't say MAGA guys. They're too radicalized in a direction, but
They're
more
too
libertarian
radicalized to break into
right-wingers,
places.
maybe. You have a lot of apolitical
hold
people.
on. Did you just say MAGA guys are too radical to steal shit during a riot?
Yes, I think they're too pro-Trump, pro-law enforcement.
They're too radical to steal shit during a riot. Oh my god.
If you're doing like the whole play on like it's radical to not.
Oh, that's just hilarious.
No, I get you.
I'm
I
just
get
finding
you.
such humor in
That's
that.
a really funny thing when you take the
It is
context
funny.
out of it.
It
No,
is
it is funny. No, I feel
It
you're
is.
gonna do the whole editing thing. I got you.
I'll play this whole. I don't need to edit anything.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean,
Right.
with the full
It's
context,
an entirety.
it's not that funny.
Absolutely.
But my point is, they're really pro law enforcement. They have this whole Blue Lives Matter thing. So I don't think they would go to a Macy's and steal like a fucking couple boxes of sneakers. I don't think they would.
Right. They're pro law and order, so you don't think they'll break the law?
Yeah, and they're radicalized into that ideology. If they're MAGA people, they love Trump, and that's what Trump's been doing for 5 months now.
So it's radical to follow the law and not steal stuff.
What I'm saying, when I say
So what is the opposite?
radicalized-
It's normal then?
Let me define radicalized in this context. Radicalized means that they are following in lockstep, one-to-one, the ideology of what they are radicalized to.
Okay, I
In
get
this
you.
case,
I get
Trump
you. Right,
is.
they're indoctrinated. You're saying they're indoctrinated.
Sure,
just
that's
to,
another word, yeah.
Just to sum it up in short, right?
Yes.
You think they're indoctrinated. Indoctrination prevents them from breaking the law and stealing stuff during a riot. Okay,
Well, my broader point before you got into this minutia was that a lot of people that are participating
I wouldn't call
in
it
riots
minutia.
and looting are apolitical. If you look at a lot of live streams of people, especially back in Minneapolis when things were very, very, very unstable, the battle lines as they were haven't been drawn. Trump hadn't tweeted about anarchists being evil. A lot of right-wingers were actually defending burning down the police station, as that's what Don't Tread on
I
Me
gotta
actually
doubt
looks
this.
like.
I gotta
No,
doubt
I
this.
mean, it was just like a nice
Here you go.
36
How
hour
about you make a
period.
video after we're done with this? You make a video showing all the right wingers in Minneapolis. You point out the right wingers.
I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to put in that effort. I'm going to be honest.
Right.
I'm just
I know
going
you're
off
not,
of memory.
because
So if you want to just
there's no
throw that
such
out,
thing,
that's
right.
fine. Yeah, that's fine. There's no such thing as a right winger. Ever
No, I'm
agreeing
asking
with
you to
anything.
provide video since you're saying it exists.
We're in the middle of a
They were there.
conversation here. I'm
Right,
not
there's
going to look
tons
it
of
up in
video
the middle
of
of
it.
a conversation. I'm not going to.
No, you don't have to look it up. I asked you to make a video later. You make
That's
15
labor.
videos a day.
That's
you make
labor,
15
though.
videos a day. I don't think I'm asking much here for you to.
You are. You're asking me to do something I
present
don't
it.
want to do.
Well, you make 15 videos a day. You said this is content, right? I'm
This
helping
is
you create
content,
content,
yes.
am I not? Come
Yes,
on.
scouring Twitter for like people tweeting that are right wing. That's not really content. That's a
Right.
waste of my time.
Scouring the internet to provide evidence to the claim you made. Yeah, that's
Again, you
asking
can
too
throw it
much.
out.
Right.
Like I'm down to just throw that out and
Right.
continue. That's fine with me.
Right.
That's
Right.
fine
Right.
with me.
We'll pretend you didn't make that false
No,
statement.
we don't
Right.
have to like. Sure. All right. So, yeah, but my point is there are a lot
Oh
of people that
God.
are apolitical. Like, it's not a left-wing idea to go loot from a fucking Starbucks if the window got broken in. That's not left-wing. That's an action that left-wingers may endorse, right? But that doesn't
No, it
make
would be
it.
it'd be a moral thing, right? It's more of a moral thing, more of an anarchist thing, right? Right. You can be an anarchist and not be totally hardcore left wing, right? You could be center left or, you know,
I
like
don't know about that.
moderate left, right?
Anarchism is definitely very left-wing.
Very left
I'm
wing.
not
It is,
familiar
right?
with the
It's not
moderate
left wing on the
anarchists.
spectrum. It's not left on the spectrum, but you find more anarchists amongst the left wingers, right?
Well, what is this?
You said this yourself with the anarcho-capitalist from Michigan, right? Like they're not left wing. At least that's your claim is that
Well,
they're not left wing.
anarcho-capitalism
But they're still
is
anarchists, right? Are they not?
not
Of course
really.
they are.
It's kind of like a
Oh no.
LARP
Okay.
ideology.
Okay.
It's like if I were to say
Okay.
I'm a conservative. Well, I can say
Well,
I'm a
everybody would know
conservative.
you're totally full of shit.
Exactly,
Right?
and that's what anarcho-capitalism is.
Like those guys looked about as left wing to me as, oh my god, as David Duke. They looked about as left wing to me as Mussolini.
Sounds about right to me. I think we're on the same page.
Mussolini was a left winger, was he?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Thought you knew your stuff here, pal.
Yeah. Anyway, so what I was saying is that riots are mostly compromised, especially more toward their inception, right, before they got very political with Trump tweeting about them. Most of the people, if you look at live streams, interviews of people on the
They were
street,
peaceful, right?
I mean, peaceful is a word you could use to describe most people, sure, right? But most people were apolitical. If a live streamer is going to ask them about the election, they're going to say, I don't really pay attention to politics. This is really...
No, they don't. You're right. You're right. They're not informed at all. I agree. They're not informed people. They don't know much about anything, right? They just go with the... Right? The NPCs, that's the term that's most often used for that kind of
I wouldn't
people.
say they're
the
NPCs. I wouldn't say they're
like, here
not
you go.
informed.
I hate to bring this video up, but I'm going to. It was a bad video, too, by the way. Somebody... And actually, you did a video, I think. It was like this 3-minute transvestigation video on you, right? Like, the only thing I agreed with them on was that, like, the word NPC, like, you really do come off as an NPC. Like a real edgy, like, hardcore, edgy
all right,
NPC.
Yep. Go on.
I know it's a personal attack, but
You got me.
I'm just bringing it up in reference to a video about the
yeah.
transvestigation.
I understand. Anyway, so...
I mean, it's just like I asked you about Donald Trump, and you could give this, he shows fascist tendencies, towards leaning towards becoming a fascist, and it's because he waves at people, and it's like,
yeah, if you want to ignore all the context of what I said, that's fine. I would rather keep going forward and progress and discuss more things than doing this weird thing where you just
why do you do like the cheesy Alec Baldwin impression all the time? Like, you use it with Donald Trump, but then you use it with other things too.
I honestly don't know who Alec Baldwin is.
Like, it's the Saturday Night Live guy that does the. Yeah, he's an actor, but he does a Donald Trump impression.
Okay, I don't watch.
You do a voice. It's like people when we watched your video, they were laughing.
I think it's
like,
funny.
Why does this thing do this voice?
It's funny. I think it's funny. I think doing funny voices and impressions of people that post stupid things in the chat is funny.
Your
because
arguments
they're
against,
posting
here you
things.
go. Here you go. Yeah. I'm not a Trump supporter.
Right.
Like I'm not a MAGA guy.
Right.
I mean, I get forced as far as voting goes to pick the lesser of the two evils. I mean, I'm sure you've heard this line before.
That's clearly Donald Trump in your calculations, right? Right, of course.
Well, yeah, right. I would have to pick Donald Trump.
Yeah, of course. Your hands are tied, right?
Well, I mean, I don't like killing babies just for starters. Yeah. I mean,
you kill them when they're fully grown. That's that way they've already sinned.
Right. But like, you make these arguments against Donald Trump, but you don't make arguments. Like, you just mimic him. You try to do this
Yeah.
imitation of him, and you put
Yeah.
words in his mouth. Like
Yes.
you don't really actually make any argument.
That's exactly correct. Because I think personally, and I will be honest with you, I am a very funny person. At least I try to be. I'm a very non-serious individual. I don't
Okay,
take
so you know
everything
you're not
super.
making any arguments then,
I'm
really.
very very
It's like all
aware.
straight like
It's there. I'm
comedy.
not.
Okay.
Everything I do is not a philosophical inquiry into the human experience. I just have fun with it. And so when Donald
But
Trump
you
says something
are an
stupid, I roll with
anti-fascist.
it. Yeah,
So would you consider yourself like a? All right, I'm
I
gonna
would say I'm
say
a
this:
comedian.
a a transgender anti-fascist comedian.
Sure, yeah.
Is that a fair label to put on you?
Why not? Podcaster, you could throw that in there.
Right, like
Buff up the resume a little bit.
there's like everything you say should be taken with a grain of salt as far as any kind of facts.
I sure. I would say that you should have a skeptical mind towards everything.
Oh, I do, absolutely, absolutely. Here you go. I've been telling people lately that when it comes to watching content on YouTube, I really don't watch anything that's considered far right wing anymore at all. But let's be fair, like they've pretty much eradicated all of that on YouTube. I mean, as far as free speech goes, anything right of Six Hexenhammer on YouTube or Steven Crowder is not allowed anymore. It's just
Oh,
not.
YouTube and big tech censorship is a huge pet peeve of mine.
Right. So as far as like the stuff that's like right, like I end up watching this like real milk toast, like centrist, left leaning centrist stuff, like
Right.
Tim Pool, crap like that, right?
Right. Tim Pool,
Right.
famous
The
left
eternal
leaner.
fence sitter, Tim
Right.
Pool, center left, Beanie Baby,
Of course.
right?
Right.
So honestly, like him, I watch some Jesse Lee Peterson stuff a little bit, but that's for comedy. I just laugh
Right.
at
Yeah.
him.
See, that's kind
Um,
of that's a lane I'm going for, to be honest for you.
and mostly I watch like hard left stuff. Hard left, like you know who Tom Hartman is by
Nope.
chance?
Can't say.
Um, you know who the Young Turks are, right? Obviously, I would think.
Yeah, but they're not far left.
Well, I
They're
watch stuff that's further left than them. I'm
okay.
just giving
All right.
you a name that you would know,
Okay.
right? Like stuff that's that kind of format. Have you heard of Ring of Fire?
Yeah, I've heard of Ring of Fire.
Okay, okay. Do you like them?
I like. I listen to the show every now and then. Yeah.
Okay, like that's the kind of stuff I listen to most on
Okay.
YouTube nowadays. Is there as far as political stuff goes?
All right.
I mean, that's the kind of the algorithm probably brought me to you through my watching of that kind of stuff, and then
It was
what I
meant
was
to
searching
be.
for.
When we got disconnected in that Discord server, whenever that was, there was a reunification. It was destiny.
That is odd because I thought about that too when you joined in here. I was like, I think this is the same person I talked to a couple months ago that they kicked out of the server before I got a chance to try to talk to this person. Right. Yeah, yeah, and you're saying it too, right? So
Well, I
it is
had you
odd.
on mute, so it must have happened at some point.
Right, you had me muted. You're right. You're right. Yeah, so it definitely happened.
All right. Okay. What else? What were we talking about? What's going on?
Um, well, I'd like to get more into the Antifa thing, and
Okay.
since we're talking about like the commentary is basically just entirely entertainment, no real fact-based stuff. But I will say this before I go on, is that, and I commented this in my video, that you did say one fact in that stream that we watched where you were doing all the imitations of Donald Trump,
Mm-hmm.
is that when he was at the hospital getting treatment, that he was probably getting some kind of aborted fetal cell cocktail given to him at the hospital,
Which I think is hilarious.
which I think is absolutely true, because they put that stuff in basically everything that they give you for medicine nowadays, as far as vaccinations and things along those lines go.
Sure thing.
Right. So
Yeah, but my,
like,
my I wouldn't say, like, I do some videos maybe that I'm trying to be informative and serious on, but most of my videos are just kind of, this is my take on what's happening. I'm not trying, like, with every topic I cover, I'm not trying to make a persuasive essay out of it. I'm not trying to convince anyone to think otherwise. I'm just giving my take on something as I see it in that moment. That's my shtick.
Now let me ask you the aborted fetal matter here. Okay, you commented on it, and I asked you during your stream in the chat,
Hmm.
and you gave me an answer, but I'll ask it again since we're recording and we're communicating.
Right?
Um, why does it matter to you if he's using aborted fetal matter if they're giving it to him? Like, you support abortion, right?
I support people's right to get an abortion if they need
Right,
to.
right, right. The same thing, right? Like,
Sure, yeah.
right. So they
I
got to
think
do
it's
something
funny.
with all this baby parts, don't
Yeah, I
they?
think it's
All the
funny.
fetal matter.
The reason why I bring it up when I talk about Trump nowadays is because, one, it's funny. Two, it makes people on the right dislike Trump a little bit more. It just hits that stone a little bit. Because let's be honest, Trump's a buffoon. He said so many
I
different
think the
things,
one thing
right?
it does, I'm telling you right now, as somebody who, like I said, I'm definitely not a MAGA guy. I mean, I'll be straight out with you right now, and I'll just say, Trump's a Zionist. I
Okay,
mean,
we
I
can
don't
agree on
support.
that.
Support Zionism.
Okay.
So, I mean, again, the lesser of the two evils. Zionism versus godlessness, godless heathens. I mean, to put it in short terms, I mean, I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place here.
Yeah, you're fucked.
Right, but the aborted fetal matter thing, like I said, they got to do something with these baby parts. If you support killing the babies, I mean, it only makes sense that you harvest their parts, and
Yeah, well, again, I don't bring it up as like, how dare you, sir. I bring it
I
up as
think you're
just a way
more
to make
hurting
fun of
people
people
that
like
are
you.
like questionable about vaccinations.
What?
I mean, that's what you're really doing is, like people who might be willing to get a vaccination. Like, here you go. You believe in the COVID stuff?
So what stuff? The
Like COVID
virus?
19, like the mainstream, news and all that about COVID 19. I mean, do you believe that stuff?
Well, I don't. Tell me what the news is. Like the way it
Well,
transmits. Like,
I mean, you seem to watch the news. You seem to have all these clips of Donald Trump and stuff. And I'm just figuring, I mean,
well,
you
just give me
support
like
a,
what are facts that you want to know if I agree with? Like, do masks function?
like,
Like, how
yeah,
does?
masks, like wearing these masks, right? Yeah, there you go. I mean, you gave something we can talk about the masks, right? Do we need to be wearing all the masks because of the threat of COVID?
I think wearing masks is good praxis, just with or without a pandemic. Look at they do that in Asian countries, and they have a
All
lot
right.
less sickness transmission,
Well, I'm gonna make a joke here. I'm just laying that out first.
right?
Considering your Antifa flag there in the background,
Right.
I'm not shocked that you support wearing masks all the time, regardless.
Yeah, I mean, I was wearing masks before it was cool. Let me just tell you.
Right, right. It's harder to be identified wearing a mask.
Absolutely.
Right. So I get it.
So I'm pretty happy that that's gone mainstream. I feel like a
Oh, I
trendsetter.
bet. I bet. Well, like I said, I had to make a joke out of it. That's
Yeah,
why I
no, go
wanted to
for
be
it.
obvious. Um, so the baby parts. Okay, so like you're totally cool with it then. Like the vaccinations. I
Am I
mean,
cool with it? I don't know if I'm cool with it. Like, if he's gonna get that kind of stuff, I would rather it be
here
available
you go.
to
Let's use
everybody.
a different example than COVID, since it's a touchy subject to talk about. Period. On YouTube, right? We'll steer away from it and go to something else that might require a vaccination instead. How about some polio? How about polio?
What about it?
Do you think people should get polio vaccinations?
I
I mean, do
Sure.
you know what polio is?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super read up on that. I'm only
I
24.
mean, well, sure. Like people didn't have polio while you were alive, really.
Yeah.
Right? Like polio pretty much died out about 30, 40 years ago for the most part. You had some stragglers maybe 20 years ago, but that's about it. Nobody's really getting polio anymore. It's because they vaccinate, right?
Is this like one of the vaccinations that people get when they're young that you're referring
Well, I
to?
mean, here you go. It's going to have some aborted fetal matter in there.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's what I'm just saying. Like the aborted fetal matter thing, it really doesn't affect Trumpers. I really don't think it does. I mean, again, I'm not a Trumper, but you know, I
I
mean,
mean, there's the
they're either
evangelical
going to take the
segment.
vaccination or they're not. It's as simple as that,
I mean, my thing is, I really do enjoy making Trumpers upset, and there is a contingent of very religious Trumpers that follow me and spam my channel a lot. So if
Really.
they start to come in, I just go to the
I
material.
did actually see that you had done a couple streams with some people. I did, like, because you were talking about like debating all these Nazis and stuff, and we were
I'm
just,
again. You had a complete misunderstanding earlier. I love doing this shit.
well, we were laughing about it. We were like, "Oh my god, are you serious?" We were just laughing. We were like, "No way." We couldn't believe it.
Yeah, well, egg on your face, huh?
I suppose so, right? Like, I didn't watch any of the debates, to be fair. I just seen that there was like video of you talking to people that either you called some kind of label like white supremacist or something along those type of lines. I don't remember the exact
I
words.
personally, my favorite is debating the anarcho-capitalists. Those guys are Chief Dullard.
Well, I'm a capitalist, but I'm an authoritarian capitalist.
That
So
I've definitely gleaned that.
right, like no anarcho here, my friend.
Right.
No, no, no. You already know the drill as far as that goes.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, like you're an anti-fascist. Like I'm what you would consider like basically the top end of the fascist food chain as far as that would go on the political spectrum type
Sure.
situation. More the Pinochet. You know who that is?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I didn't know. You didn't know a couple other names I threw out there, so you know him. What's he famous for?
Helicopters, buddy.
There you go. All right, all right,
I'm.
all right.
I can feel your bloodstreams are just excited right now.
It did. You're
The
right. You
adrenaline is
did.
pouring
You
through.
did. I got it. I did.
You got your thing
It.
in.
I got a tingle on my arm. You're
Yeah.
absolutely
No,
right.
definitely.
Right. Right. I think you know. Right. What I'm the picture in my head right now. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I get it. Because like here you go. The lifestyle you live and the things you support. Like you guys know what would happen, right? If you actually had to answer for it, right?
What does that
You,
mean?
you know. Oh, they would be put to end. Like there's no more of this degeneracy and stuff. Oh no.
What is answer for what? What are we answering for?
Oh, the sins against humanity.
What sins?
What sins? I mean, where do I begin? I mean, your life is a sin. I mean, I could
What
be
about my life
general.
is a sin?
What about it isn't?
I
It
don't
would be
know.
a
I
better
don't know what a
question.
sin is. I don't believe in that stuff. So I'm just trying to get your definitions.
You spew evil rhetoric. You have a flag behind you that essentially represents Satan, for a lack of a better term. Just to put it simple, I suppose. I mean, you might as well have 666 tattooed on your forehead.
Would you like that? Should I do that?
Oh, if you were marked, yeah, I would. As a matter of fact, I would. It would make my life easier. I think it would make everybody's life easier
Would that?
because when they met somebody in public, they would know. They would know. They wouldn't be deceived.
Right. Of course.
They would know. They would know who they were talking to then.
Right?
Because there's a lot of people out there who don't know. There's a lot of, NPCs. I mean, NPCs aren't just a left thing, There's plenty of NPCs on the right. There's the MAGA NPC, right? I mean, I think we can both agree on that one.
Sure thing.
Yeah, there's the MAGA NPC. There's the Antifa NPC. There's plenty of NPCs out there. But if the NPC ran into the other NPC and he's seen the badge, right, he'd know who he's talking to. A
Sure.
deceiver, a deceiver, to put it
Right. A
simply,
deceiver. Okay.
right?
Right.
To use some kind of theology here. I'm not trying to go into any deep theology. I did hear you say something about some Christianity or something like that. I'm not trying to, you know.
I'm not religious. I'm an atheist.
I think that went without saying. But,
Yeah. Well, I was just, gotta say it, etch it
right.
into the
Were you
record.
at any point a Christian? Were you baptized?
I don't know at all. But I remember praying a lot when I was 12 and 13, and nothing happened, and things got worse. And from that point onward, I was like, fuck it.
So you don't remember if you were baptized or not. I mean, are you being honest with me?
I am. I mean, if
I
I,
mean, I
I
feel
think
like
the
I'm being
most
pretty
honest
easy
answer would
here.
be I don't know.
Like I told you, I'm a really reasonable person. You were like, I'm hard.
Well,
I feel I've been very reasonable in here. Wouldn't you agree?
I would say you've been moderately reasonable. I would say.
Okay, yeah, right. So I'm not the big bad boogeyman you thought I was going to be.
I mean, I don't know if I necessarily thought you were a big bad boogeyman, but sure.
So you don't remember being baptized, but do you ever remember going to church?
I went to church a few times, maybe like 5 times ever.
No, that really doesn't count, honestly.
Yeah, well, I'm saying I don't remember. Like I don't know, like
Right.
don't baptisms happen when like you're like 1 or something? I don't fucking know.
I want to say I got baptized when I was 5.
Oh well, I don't know. I don't remember it. So if it were
Like
when
I
I was like
remember
1 or
it.
2, maybe, but I don't. No, I don't think so.
Okay, so yeah, doesn't so atheist, anarchist, okay, anti-fascist. Like now, these things. Would you consider this part of your comedy act, or is this you?
What do you mean by that exactly?
So,
Like, do you think I'm
atheist.
playing a
Are you are
character?
you,
Or?
are you really an atheist, or are you
Yeah,
just playing an
definitely.
atheist? Well, I mean, you're basically saying, as far as when it goes to social and political commentary, you're playing a character.
I never said that.
Well, I mean, you did say that we could take everything you say, with a grain of salt. Like there's really no
I said you
facts
should
there.
take what everyone says with a grain of salt. If
Do you
something doesn't seem right to you, you can feel
you
free
don't
to fact
provide
check.
facts, though. I mean, you agreed to that. You
What?
don't provide facts.
Well, I don't do video essays in a persuasive manner. That's not my thing. I'm a podcaster. I give my live reaction to news and events. I'm not
Yeah.
going to like do a thorough fact check, like interview like fucking people and like go out. Like I'm not a journalist.
Oh no, no,
I'm a
I don't expect that.
podcaster. I'm a
You
commentator.
could interview other Antifa people, though. You ever thought about doing that?
I live in a rural state now. I can't go to protests as much.
Um, what about like all the man? I'm gonna do it. The YouTube money, like you can't like. Don't you have a car or something?
I don't drive.
What about somebody to drive you? Don't you have any friends?
I sure, yeah. But I'm not
They'll
going to
like
go to
live
a
there.
protest in a city I don't live in. That's a terrible idea.
Oh, you could go there and interview people as content.
If I had like slightly more like security involved, maybe. But eh.
Or you could just interview Antifa people. I mean, you're one of them. You should be cool.
It could be cool if there's
They're not
protests
gonna they're
going
not
on
gonna
near me.
mistake
I
you as a
would.
Nazi. They're not gonna mistakenly attack you and start yelling Nazi.
I would be shocked. I would
I
be
would be
shocked.
shocked as well. I mean, they
Yeah.
did attack a Jewish guy and say he was a Nazi. So, I mean, it
They's doing a
happens,
lot of
but
work here, but yeah.
right, like it does happen. But I think you're in the clear.
I would say I'm probably good to go.
Right.
Got the green light.
So that's pretty much out of the question. Okay, so
What's out of the question?
like doing something like that. I'm just asking, like why you
I mean, it's
wouldn't.
not out of the
I mean,
question.
you
I
answered.
live like 6 hours away from a major
Yeah,
city. I used to
right.
live in Washington, so I used to go to a lot of protests, but I don't. I moved. So,
How long ago did you move?
uh, it was around this time last year. So
Oh, so you weren't there during the Chaz or anything?
no, 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 no. That was in Washington. Like, no, no, that was in Washington State. I meant D.C. Yeah,
Oh,
D.C.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say you could have got to experience,
Hey,
you
I
know,
wish that would have been fun.
socialism in its true,
That would have been
yeah,
fun.
true
If
socialism,
I
right?
if I were involved with Chaz, if that were something that I had access to, it would have gone a lot better. Let me tell you. Let me tell
Yeah,
you.
it
My
went pretty
big brain
bad.
being applied to that project, things would have. They'd still be there. Let me tell you that. That's a joke for reference. I know you
Oh
have
yeah,
a. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I'm
I have
sure
a.
that they weren't going to be there regardless, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm surprised they lasted as long as they did.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I am too. But I'm surprised any of this has gone on. As long as it has. To be honest with you, I told people from the early get go, as soon as the whole shortages started in the grocery stores, I said I'm not worried about anything until I see civil unrest start out of the black community, and then I'll start to worry about stuff. And then, sure enough, like clockwork, civil unrest started out of the black community.
What is the black community? What is that distinction for?
What is that distinction for? Well, how about they ain't white folks? Let's start with that. I mean, what
So
are
are
you
you
trying to
saying
get
like
here? Like, why,
100% of black people or?
why are you like trying to get some kind of answer for a question that you already know the answer for?
Because I just want you to explain it to me clear. Like I when I ask these questions, I like learning from people and
Okay,
the words
okay,
that
I'll
you
be
would
more
use to
specific. I'll be
yeah.
more specific. When the Black Identity extremist movement started up, because I knew
Well, that
that.
started
Well,
up
I
like
won't
six
say I
years ago.
knew, but again, I said I wasn't worried about anything until I seen some kind of. I'll put a name on it. Some kind of Black Identity extremist movement start to happen in this nation, and it did
So
start to happen in this nation.
6 years ago.
No, no, I'm talking about in regards to the food shortages in the stores in recent events,
Okay.
right? Like I wasn't worried about,
But what about like the theoretical like I don't
what?
know, like maybe people taking over a state capital with guns? Does that ring any bells? Is that
Oh yeah,
problematic?
yeah, the left wing guys, right? The Antifa dudes,
If you
right?
want to call them that, sure, yeah.
Right, the guys with the governor thing. Yeah. Oh yeah, they were definitely left. They were anarchists, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean if you don't know how to Google and learn basic
Right. If I don't
definitions of
listen to,
words,
here you go. I listen to NPR every day in my car driving to and from work.
yeesh.
I know, right? Well,
Yeah, that's rough.
it's about the best radio source you're going to get for the far left wing perspective. You're not going
Well,
to get
well
anything much further left than
wait,
that.
okay.
At least in my area.
For like that's like milk toast Obama shit.
I'd say maybe 8 years ago it was. It's definitely moved further on than Obama. It's far more progressive than it was during Obama.
Is NPR talking about police abolition?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Here you go. Where I live on NPR before the COVID. Okay, the content consisted of victimized minorities,
Right.
gay minorities,
Wait. What was that word? You hiccuped
gay
there.
minorities,
Gay minorities.
LGBTQ
Okay.
minorities,
Right. So
and
victimized
in a system of
minorities
white supremacy.
in
That's
addition
basically
to.
all they would talk. And anti-Trump, and we hate Trump.
Right. I mean that's
Right,
pretty easy.
right. That was basically the spin.
Okay.
That was the 24-hour cycle in NPR. Well, I won't say 24-hour, but the 12-hour cycle on NPR.
Okay.
So I feel like it's a pretty decent source in my car as far as getting, a progressive opinion on current events while I'm driving in my car.
I think you should listen to my show personally, but that's just me.
Well, I think I'm getting a little better sources than that. Oh, Tom Hartman's got you beat.
Oh
Yeah,
shit.
Ring of Fire. Like you said, Ring of Fire.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
I
if
mean,
you make any more time though, I guarantee you, I am much further to the left than these outlets that you
I
are.
don't. I kind of doubt it. I mean, you do have, the whole gender identity card that you can play there,
Right,
but
the card.
right, but
Right.
where these guys don't have that, but they talk more about the issues, I guess you could say. They actually go into a little bit of detail. I mean, they're extremely vague too, like yourself.
I
So
mean,
I
I
mean,
go into detail.
that's
I mean, like
fair.
you said, you don't watch my show. You've only watched like maybe what 5 videos, so you don't really know the level of detail I give on my shows.
Well, I mean,
The
from the
fucking
sampling I
video
have,
the stream
from
that
the
you came
sampling I
into was
have,
like a video
definitely.
game stream. It wasn't even a political cast.
Well, I'm aware of that, right?
Okay.
Like I said, you make 15 videos a day, so odds are pretty good that you're going to be live during decent hours. I don't know. You may live stream at night for all I know, too. I don't know. I'm
Well,
asleep.
sometimes.
Right, exactly. So, you know, get in there while you're live. That's the best time to do something like that.
Sure.
But yeah, competing with Ring of Fire, I mean, that's pretty hard for you to do, I think, as far as, that kind of content specifically.
Well, I don't know if I'm necessarily competing with anybody.
For, a person like me looking for far left wing
Well, I mean,
content
they're just not,
to get
like, they're
perspective
not
from.
far left. Like, they're relatively left. Like, I would
Oh, I don't
consider
know
them
about that.
allies, but far left? I mean, I don't think anyone on Ring of Fire is an anarchist.
Honestly, I'd probably agree with that. I don't think any of them are anarchists. I'd say they're more authoritarians, right? I really would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, looks like another victory for me in the battlefield of ideas.
Yeah. You can claim a victory on that one, right? Right. Ring of Fire, I think, are more authoritarian than they are anarchists. I do. I do. Right. They would assume take all my rights away from me. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. They'd just seize all my shit if they had their way. They sure would. Yep. So, what do you think about Obama? Did you think he was like the greatest president and stuff because he was
Obama's
black?
garbage.
Garbage. Why? So, what do you think
Financial
about them like
crisis.
constantly beating on his legacy? Like he's some kind of messiah and shit.
I think that's cringe. That's why I don't like liberals.
Well, yeah, I mean, you see a lot of people doing it. I mean, I guess it depends on how far left you go, I suppose, right? Like I watched Linda Sarsour on a podcast last night. What do you think of her?
I don't know much about Linda
You don't know much
Sarsour.
about Linda Sarsour. She's pretty far left, man. She's all big anti-Israel. Big
Okay.
hate white people and anti-Israel.
I mean, all right. The whole hate white people thing. It's so cringe. Like, do you think I hate
Oh, yeah, it
white
sure
people?
is. I think you blame white people for the shortcomings of others. Yes, absolutely.
What? Can you give me an example of me doing that?
Well, the Antifa movement. I mean, you
Well,
support the
no, no. Like
Antifa
an
movement.
example of me doing that. Like me
It preaches
specifically.
that narrative. Oh, the black victimization narrative, right?
What is
You,
that?
you you support the black victimization narrative that blacks are indiscriminately targeted by police for no good reason whatsoever other than their skin color.
Disproportionately higher, yes. Do I think that
Well,
there's a bunch of cops going out there going, "I'm gonna kill me one
okay, so
tonight"?
what if
Not
I told you
necessarily.
that? What if I told you that the disproportionate rates of violent crime and murder that they also commit in this nation definitely correlate with the disproportionate rate of the police encounters that they're having? What would you say then?
I would say if you have more encounters with police, there's more likelihood of things going wrong.
Right, right, right. If you're out there committing more violent crimes and murders, odds are you're going to have more police encounters, aren't you?
If the implication is that black people are inherently just wandering the streets committing crimes, then I guess, but that's
Well,
not the
do you
case.
do you
So,
do you know that they commit to just I'm stuttering on my words here. God, it's tired. That's why I wanted to do this earlier.
well,
Disproportionate crime, violent crime, and murder. Basically, all disproportionate crime, other than liquor violations, if we're going to be specific. But
okay. You got that
I
like
mean,
right on ya? You got the statistics?
oh, FBI, UCR, you can go back, 20, 30 years if you want. It's the same numbers basically every year,
Yeah, I mean that's
right?
like that's less of a thing.
You can look at cities crime
Because
stats. Go
there's
like
a
the city
huge
of Chicago,
difference.
whatever.
There's a huge
You know,
difference
any
between
metropolitan, you'll find
people
the crime
that do
rates the same.
things and people that do things with the authority and the sanctioning of the United States government.
Well, I
Like
mean, so there shouldn't be any cops at all. You're saying the cops are the problem here? I mean, is it the
I'm saying
government policing the black people?
the cops
Should they
are a
not police
problem.
them?
The cops training, I don't necessarily not I'm not saying that we shouldn't have law enforcement, but the police, as they're trained in this country, garbage. Like, you could get random people off the street that could do better jobs if you had proper coordination. Um, so
Should
I've
they be sending social workers out to domestic violence cases?
You can send social workers out to homeless people's locations and maybe help them, get into some sort of program, like a rehabilitation program or maybe a housing program. You can have social workers maybe go to people that are publicly intoxicated, and not like wave guns in their faces and scare them, when they're intoxicated and they can't
Do you
think
think they
clearly.
just wave guns at people anytime, no matter what?
I've
Like
had
just
cops
whenever,
wave guns at
whenever at a
people.
whim, at a whim.
I've had that happen.
Well, that's anecdotal.
Yeah, it is anecdotal.
That's anecdotal,
Yeah, correct.
and you can't prove it either. So
Can't prove it. You
that's
got
why.
me?
Well, it is anecdotal. I mean,
No,
it's
no, you got me.
anecdotal evidence that you can't
Right. No,
prove.
I agree with you. So, next.
Right. Right. I would, again, I'll ask the question: do they just go around waving guns at people
I would
whenever they feel
say
like
it
it?
is something that there have been many, many people, including myself, that have experienced that very same behavior.
That's not really evidence, though. That's really more.
I mean, again, if you want
And
me to
even
do
you
like
even
an
reference your
essay
own
or
anecdotal
something,
evidence
if you
from
want me to like
before.
write a book on this question, maybe. But like we're just kind of having a conversation. So if we don't agree on the facts here, that's fine. We can move on.
Well, okay, yeah, we don't agree on the facts. That's for certain there.
Yeah. So let's just move on.
So, is it white people to blame for this?
I
Is it the
blame.
system
I
of white
blame.
supremacy?
I blame capitalism first and foremost.
Is capitalism a system of white supremacy?
Absolutely.
How so?
Capitalism is about hoarding wealth and keeping as much money at the top as possible. When you account for things like primitive accumulation resulting in the feudalistic kind of worldview that had Europeans at such a point in society where they had so much gold that they took from other nations, all that kind of stuff, that gives white people a hell of a big ass like head start. Does that mean that all white people are inherently richer? No. And anyone that says that is a fucking
Well, that's not a
moron.
system of white supremacy, then, is it? That's a classist
It's a
system.
system.
That's not a
Yeah, it's
race-based system.
classist.
That's a
It's
class-based
both.
system.
It's both because white
How can it
people
be
are
both?
more likely to have intergenerational wealth.
But they're not giving the benefits of this system onto other whites. They're only keeping it amongst the elite. I don't benefit from this system, and I'm white. You don't benefit from this system, and you're white.
White
Oh no,
supremacy.
no, I don't have a lap pool in my backyard,
Okay.
and I don't have a black mammy cooking my food for me. No, I don't.
Right. Okay.
Never have, never will. Right.
All right. I'm happy for you. White supremacy does not mean that, like, obviously, given the trajectory of this government and civil rights
So only a
movements,
very small percentage of whites get to be supreme.
yes,
Like 2% of them
sure,
worldwide.
sure, yeah. Like I said, the problem is capitalism first and foremost. Capitalism uses all of its tools in the tool belt to continue hoarding wealth at the top, including, but not limited to, white supremacy. Does that mean it is a white supremacist system of governance that's going to elevate all white people to heaven and Valhalla? No. It means they're going to utilize things like having black people hate white people hate black people, etc., causing racial, violence, causing hate crimes, and keeping the 99%
the
fighting
hate
amongst
crimes?
themselves.
Yeah, like the media provoking blacks has a lot to do with hate crimes, if you ask me. Like
Okay.
these celebrities and stuff that promote anti-white rhetoric, like LeBron James, just to name one. Oprah Winfrey, as of late,
Okay.
they get away with it. They're unchecked. Nick Cannon, I don't know if you know the stuff he did with the Cannon's class.
I don't know who
He
that
did.
is.
You don't know who Nick Cannon is? He was the Nickelodeon star turned married Mariah Carey.
I don't really pay attention to that stuff.
Well, he had a podcast, and he was all communist black fist in the background, right? And
Sounds cool.
right. I'm sure you're right. You missed out on some stuff you probably would have liked. But he had Professor Griff on there one episode, and I knew something was going to go bad there.
I don't know who that
Professor Griff. Well, he's a rapper
Okay.
/ entertainer from like the 80s, basically. But he's a real outspoken fella, and yeah, they started talking a little bit about some Jewish stuff. It was mostly Bash Whitey, of course, but they mentioned the Rothschilds, a couple of these so-called white elitists that you were kind of referencing in your white supremacy narrative. They named a couple of those guys, and Nick Cannon had to backpedal publicly and apologize to the Jewish community for his words that he said on his podcast about them.
Okay, I think that sounds a little silly. If it is as you described, and he was just mentioning rich families with not necessarily any sort of attribute, like it is because they are Jewish that they are at this position. Like, if that's not what he was saying, then yeah,
Well,
that's
no,
definitely
no,
what that's about.
they did mention, again, I don't remember it word for word, but I do want to say that there was some kind of, at the very least, insinuation that yes, it was Jews at the very top of the food chain as far as a system of power goes in this world.
Okay.
So Nick Cannon had to publicly backpedal on that one, but
Well, I'm going to be
all,
honest
all
with you. I don't
the
really
system
care
of white
about Nick
supremacy
Cannon.
stuff was okay.
Like, I really just don't give a shit about that. Like, I don't know who that is. Don't listen to the podcast. Don't know anything about that. So, and it's also been
but
an
here you go.
hour,
There was
so I
real
kind
no
of want to wrap
system.
this up.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
Yeah, like I
but
don't.
there
I'm not
really
telling you to
was
shut up now, but like let's just
there really was no system of white supremacy though
Right. Okay.
that you described.
Okay.
Like an elite few. Like I think we were basically able to agree that there was more of a class thing there than a race thing.
Did white people benefit from Jim Crow laws?
How? I just want to hear.
Well, I'm
I
asking
want to
you.
hear what you got to say.
Yes or no?
Well, I'm
question.
asking you how did they benefit from Jim Crow laws?
Well, if you have
know?
laws that say that black people cannot purchase property in a certain district, right?
Okay.
Would you say that that's not having equal opportunity to maybe purchase a house that you would then give on to your grandchildren?
Okay, Jim Crow, sure. Yeah. Right. Yeah, they didn't benefit from Jim Crow, right?
White
now their
people didn't
community
benefit?
was more together as a community, 80% fathers in homes compared to 80% fathers not in homes today, but
What
I
are we
suppose
talking
that's
about?
a different discussion, right? I just mentioned the fact that in this Jim Crow era that you had 80% of the fathers in the homes compared to
Okay.
today where you have 80% of the fathers not in the homes.
So you're saying Jim Crow is better than it is now?
Well, blacks committed a lot less crime per capita during Jim Crow than they do now. Again,
Okay.
the numbers support what I say.
Okay.
Like they had crime rates that were closer to that of whites during Jim Crow.
Okay.
Compared to, like I said, now the only crime that they commit at a rate that represents their population are liquor violations.
Okay.
Every other crime is disproportionate.
Cool. So white people did not benefit from Jim Crow laws, to get that answer?
Oh, I would suppose they did. Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So
Right.
you can see how Jim Crow laws being officially abolished in the 60s.
Yeah, they're gone, right?
Right,
Yeah,
but there are
gone.
still people that are alive right now that were denied purchasing a home,
Okay.
right, because of their skin color, and if they can't pass that home along to their grandchildren, or maybe their grandchildren, lose their housing.
So what did they do with the money then? Did they just throw all the money away that they would have used to purchase the home? They just threw all that fucking money away because they couldn't buy the home, but they had the money to buy the home, right?
Well, maybe they were
So what did they do with all the money?
renting?
What did they do with all the money?
Renting?
Well, they couldn't buy the home though, so they just were like everybody else who couldn't afford to buy a home, so they rented, right?
Sure.
There was no generational wealth if they couldn't even afford to buy the home. I mean, I'm just asking, like, they couldn't save any money?
Let's go further back. Let's say, I don't know, these people's parents that couldn't buy the home, maybe their parents or grandparents were slaves. Can't make a lot of money being a slave. So
well, they sold their own people into slavery, to be fair, if we're going to talk about the whole slave thing.
I don't know who they is.
The blacks. The Africans
blacks,
sold their own and
Who's
captured.
they? So
the Africans sold their own African people into
what does
slavery.
that have to
Right.
do with the past 100 years of the United States? What is that? How's that
Well,
relevant?
you're the one mentioning slavery, not me.
Yes.
So I'm just
yes, but what does that have to do?
what you're saying.
Okay, so they were sold. Okay, great. right? So you're right. That's awesome. I'm happy for you. But they are
Right.
in slavery. So my point
Okay.
is not changed. It's not, there's no difference in there. My point was they were enslaved. You can't make
Okay.
a lot of money when you're a slave, right?
Yeah.
So when your grandpa is a slave, right? It's not like, "Oh, hey grandpa, can you, give me, some money. I kind of fell on some
Okay.
hard
I'm going to
times."
give you a comparison to what you're saying then with this generational wealth thing. How much money are you going to inherit?
I don't
What are you
know.
looking to inherit? Your mom's already dead. I mean, I don't mean to rub it in, but your mom's already dead. I mean, are you going to,
I don't
inherit some
know.
kind of massive
And
wealth
again,
from
you're
your
doing
father?
this whole like there is one
Are
white
you?
poor person, so that means white people didn't. I
Well,
I have
obviously there's
benefited
not.
in
If
a lot of ways.
we're talking about 1 out of 2 of the whites in here are basically willing to admit that they're
That's
not going to
anecdotal.
inherit anything at all.
That's anecdotal.
Well, that's 1 out of 2, isn't it?
It's 1 out of 2 in an anecdotal.
Well, okay, so the majority of whites wealthy then? No, they're not.
That's not the
So they're not
argument.
getting this generational wealth that you're speaking of.
It's generational wealth. When you have generations accumulating wealth over 200 years, and one generation that wasn't even allowed to own wealth for 100 of those 200 years, they're going to have a different amount of wealth distributed among the different populations. Obviously, right, there's going to be black people that have managed to make it in a capitalist society. There's going to be white people that have managed to make it in a capitalist
Okay.
society. There's going to be white people that don't make it in a capitalist society. Does that mean that white people on average didn't benefit from Jim Crow laws? Of course not. They benefited. Does that mean they were automatically ascended to Valhalla? They were on the top of the food chain?
Well, then why are
No.
you even
They
mentioning
maybe
it
were
like
on
that
like
then?
maybe they were on like rank 8 and black people are on rank 12, right? That's still benefiting. That still puts you in a slightly better position. Am I saying all white people are to
Then
blame?
why don't you go
No.
against the groups that have the actual wealth then? Why are
I
you attacking
do.
whites when
I don't
we're
attack.
talking about
Again, first of all, you
the
haven't.
racial wealth food chain here? Whites are just above blacks. There's groups that make more money than
Right.
whites.
Okay, I know what you're about to
I
say.
mean, why
So,
not go after the Asians? Why not go after the
because
Jewish
I don't
people?
look at things in a racist way, unlike
I mean, you're
yourself.
talking about this system. It's a classist system that you're describing, not a
It is
racist system.
classist and has remnants of racism. Again, you admitted that white people
Remnants.
benefit. Yes.
So
The
are all
people
the
that
remnants
are
not
alive,
eradicated?
the people that are alive right now
Okay.
lived under Jim Crow laws, which you yourself said that
Okay.
benefited white people more than black people.
Did all of the
Therefore,
black people live under Jim Crow laws? All of them?
of course not.
Okay. Okay. So you're making an argument for a small percentage of them. Okay. Fair enough.
We're talking about things like generational wealth.
Yeah. Again, and I think
We're
we
talking
already
about things like
discussed that.
grandparents.
How most of America isn't getting generational wealth
Yes.
regardless
Again,
of their
well,
skin color.
it's not.
Right.
It's not a binary. It's not okay. You either get generational wealth or
I mean,
you
about the
don't
only
get
people getting
generational wealth.
generational wealth in this country are Asians, Indians from India,
It's not again. Indians from
Arabs,
India. That's a small percentage. There's a lot of Indians that
Jewish
aren't from
people.
India. There's a
Well,
lot of
these are the
Indians
people that are actually getting generational wealth
Okay,
in this
awesome,
country.
great. That's amazing. So anyway, we've been doing this for about
So they're
70
benefiting from a
minutes.
system of white supremacy.
They can benefit from capitalism being first and foremost what's driving a system of white supremacy. Sure, yeah.
Wow. I don't
If
know.
you
I'm
want to have
jumping
another
through a lot of hoops here.
yeah,
Right,
jumping
a lot
through.
of, lot, lot of
I'm
jumping
really,
through hoops.
I'm just, I've got a lot of. You might not know this, but I'm also a dancer, and I'm an athlete, and so
Wow.
as a result, I possess the ability to jump. I can dash through hoops. I can skip through hoops. I can do all kinds of stuff.
Right.
But we've reached our quotas met. So
Yes,
I'm
yes,
getting
yes, we
tired.
have.
It's night for me. Thank you for being very, very moderately reasonable. I appreciate that. Can I ask you one last question?
Absolutely.
What made you pay it? What was your first introduction to politics? What you asked me this earlier. What is your gateway?
My first introduction to politics. That would have been
Yes.
through school.
And what did they teach you?
Oh, they were just pushing the Democrat candidate, Michael Dukakis.
Okay.
I was young in
Okay.
elementary school. They were pushing Michael Dukakis throughout the school. I remember us going to, gosh, what did they call that? Where I wouldn't call it a rally, an assembly. Okay, there you
Right?
go, assembly. They would have assemblies, and we would go in the gymnasium, and they would, start pushing this Michael Dukakis crap. And I questioned it as a child, like, why are we even talking about this? Like,
And that
I'm just a kid.
and what? How did that translate to you having the beliefs that you have today?
Um, honestly, that made me question why they were doing it. That basically they were just trying to make me believe something, regardless of whether I should or not.
And you said
Like,
earlier you're an
again, what place did it
authoritarian,
have? Yeah,
so you should like that.
I should like that. How?
Well, you said you're an authoritarian. You want to tell people
Right,
what
right.
they
I should
should.
question the narrative no matter what, is what you're saying. Right,
Well, yeah, you should be
right.
obedient. Or is it like you
Obedient.
want to be like you think you're going to be in control when we have an authoritarian society? Is that what that is? Are
Oh,
you
I
hedging
won't
your
be in
bets?
control. I'm not in control now.
Well, then why'd
No,
you say you're an
I
authoritarian?
just support a more authoritarian system.
Okay. So,
I
but you
mean,
okay? So you do endorse telling children to vote for a specific candidate or whatever?
well, I suppose yes, I do, honestly, but these
Okay.
people are obviously going about it the wrong way. I mean,
Right.
here you go
Right.
today in the schools right now.
Right. Okay.
I mean, they're teaching my kid that you're normal, for instance,
Okay.
and it's indoctrination. I mean, they were
Right.
trying to
Right.
indoctrinate me back then.
Right. So, would you say you're a conservative? You don't want to view transgender people as people. You'd rather view them as like second class, third class citizens that deserve to die.
I
What
never said
is?
that.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to figure this out. Like, I'm trying to like etch through this worldview here. I'm trying to like kind of put some points on the board.
Oh, I'm not going to be forced to identify you as what you aren't. I don't think
What
that's.
does force mean?
I shouldn't have to refer to you as a miss.
You shouldn't have to. Well,
No,
no one
no,
should
I,
have
I
to do
wouldn't.
anything.
I wouldn't do it. Right.
Well, no one should have to do anything. Like, so okay, who's forcing you to do anything?
Well,
What is
you're
your
asking me
definition?
about being a conservative, and what I'm
Yeah,
saying
you
is
want to
that right.
retain a system where cisgender people are higher up on a ladder of hierarchy than transgender people. You want to attain and uphold that system as long as you can, right?
Here you go. I don't think that you should have marriage rights with another man. No, I do not.
Okay, so you're going full on you hate gay people too.
I do not, because
Well,
you're
you just
not
said you
married.
do.
You're not procreating. You're certainly not procreating if you're with another man.
Right, so what's the problem?
What's the problem? It's not really a marriage.
Okay, so marriage is about procreation?
It's a sexual relationship.
So
Well, traditionally,
marriage is
marriage has
about
been about yes,
what if
procreation.
what if
Absolutely.
someone maybe hypothetically they were trying to immigrate to another country and in that process they had a doctor perform a hysterectomy on them and remove their uterus and they can no
Well,
longer
you're
procreate.
referring to an anomaly now, because the
Right.
majority of women are able
Right.
to procreate,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
So
so like can
you're
they
you're
no
giving an
longer get
anomaly
married?
as the
Well, you said
example
a
instead.
man and a man can't marry because of procreation. So can a woman who can't procreate marry a man or does that mean
Again,
she's like
you're
off the
using an
board?
anomaly to support your
No, I'm just
argument here.
wondering. I just want to get
Okay,
your
okay. So
worldview.
statistically, how many men-to-men sexual relationships can result in procreation?
Well,
Statistically
statistically,
speaking,
how many women with no
statistically
uterus?
speaking,
I'm
how
just
many
wondering.
man-on-man sexual relationships
You seem
result in
like you're getting a little
procreation?
upset here.
No, I'm asking you
Statistically,
a question.
zero. But
because
I would
because
say
you're
this.
making an argument based on less than 1% of women and then comparing it to 100% of men.
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering. Like, is it about men specifically, or is it about the procreation? Like, now you're balancing. You say, who cares about the
Well, it would be about
procreation?
homosexuality specifically. I
Yeah,
would say
like
the same thing with two women.
you hate gay
The
people.
same thing with two women.
So it
Two
has
women
nothing to
aren't
do
going
with
to procreate.
procreating. It
Right.
has nothing to do with procreating.
There's
Then.
no marriage there. There's
Right.
no marriage
So,
between two
but
women.
just to be clear, it
Just like
has
there's no
nothing to
marriage
do with
between two
procreation.
men.
So it has
It
nothing
has
to do.
everything to do with procreation. Like I
Well, you
said, two
just
women
said.
aren't going to procreate.
Well, yeah, but you said that a woman who can't procreate can still
Oh my
marry.
God.
So I'm just trying to get this. It's not really a consistent worldview,
Oh
but
my
we'll
God.
let's agree to
Oh,
disagree.
oh my
Let's
God.
get one last
Gee,
question here.
that was ridiculous.
I'm so sorry
Oh,
for putting you through
that was
that.
some
I know.
serious jumping through hoops. Like I
Jumping
said,
through
making a
hoops.
less than 1%
Right,
argument
I just
and
jumped through
comparing
the
it to a
hoops. Right.
100%
Yep. Well,
argument
you
there.
said that again. You said, just to clarify, you
Jumping
said
through
that
some
the
hoops.
inability to procreate is the reason why same-sex couples shouldn't get married. Right. That's what you said. And if that were the case, then other people would be classified in that. If you were anti, you know,
So, okay, so
non-procreatable
in this system that
couples,
you're laying out for me, it would account for less than 1%
would it? I'm
of
asking
married
you. It's your
heterosexual
system. It's your
couples.
system. I'm asking you to describe.
Okay, I'm willing to sacrifice less than
Okay.
1% of
All right.
married
That's what I was wondering.
heterosexuals
Okay.
to stop
All
100%
right.
of the other thing. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yes,
So
I
you
am.
would ban women maybe that tried to immigrate to the United States and got put into a concentration camp and had their uterus removed,
They wouldn't be
not
allowed to
being
be
able.
married.
They
No.
wouldn't. Okay,
If
you would.
if
All
I
right,
have to make
awesome.
that choice in
Okay,
your
thank you.
system,
Thank you for
if I
that.
have
All
to
right, well,
make
this
that
is your
choice under
system.
the guise that you're presenting it,
This is
then
your system,
yes,
buddy.
I would be willing to
giving you the
sacrifice
wheels for
that less than
Minecraft.
1%
All
women.
right, awesome. Okay, so
Well, if
my
you want me
last.
to say it, let me say it and quit speaking over me. And
All right,
I mean,
you got
I thought I
this.
already
Floor
did,
is
but
yours.
yes, based on the scenario you're presenting, I am willing to say that this less than 1% of women aren't legitimately married.
Okay.
Based on the scenario that you presented, trying to say that, oh, homosexuals, this and that. Right. Yes. Even though, like I said,
So
when
it's
it
the
comes to
problem with the gay
homosexual
people.
marriage, 100% of the marriages do not result in procreation.
Right. Okay.
100%.
Okay. All right.
Versus less than 1%.
So I got another problem. I got another question. What's your problem with transgender people? What about people existing?
Well, here you go. Should you use the women's restroom?
Absolutely.
There's one of my problems right there.
What
I
is?
don't want
What's
you
your
in the
problem?
restroom with an 8-year-old girl. Hell
Okay.
no.
All right.
Hell no.
I
Just
don't
like I don't
want
want
to be
any
in the
other
restroom.
man in the restroom with an
Right.
8-year-old
Okay.
girl. I don't want a
But so-
40-year-old man in the restroom with an
Right.
8-year-old
Awesome.
girl. I don't want
Okay.
a 20-year-old man in
Great.
the restroom with an
That's
8-year-old
great.
girl.
I'm happy
I don't
for
want a
you.
man that claims to be a
That's-
woman in the restroom with an
That's
8-year-old
great.
girl.
I'm excited that you feel so amazing.
So it's not
about
just a
this.
trans thing. I don't
Right.
want any men in the restroom with an
So
8-year-old
you're
girl.
anti-men? You're anti-man? Is that what this is?
I'm anti-men being in the restroom with an 8-year-old
Well,
girl.
no, I'm just
Yes.
so women can be in the restroom with an 8-year-old boy?
I'm against that too.
Oh, what if they're their mother?
They have no business being in the restroom. Okay, handicap? Are we talking about a handicapped kid or
Well,
something
we're talking
here?
about, like, say you have a mother and they want to go to the bathroom, but they don't feel comfortable leaving you out in a public space by yourself, and they want to bring you into the bathroom.
If you're in a really shitty neighborhood, I suppose, if you're in a really shitty
Right,
neighborhood
okay.
and a mother needs to go in the
Right.
bathroom with her child.
So, but what if a father
I'm
needed
okay
to do
with
that? What if a
right.
father needed to do that?
Yeah, if a father is in a neighborhood with in
Okay.
a really shitty neighborhood with his small daughter, then yeah, he should be able to go in the bathroom with his small daughter in this super shitty neighborhood. Right. Okay. Right.
All right, so
Again,
it really isn't
an
about the
extreme
gender thing.
example having to be used
Right.
to
No, I'm just
justify
wondering
some
because you're an
ass-backwards
authoritarian.
logic.
You
Right.
want your worldview to be on others. You want to
Right.
you want to preach and have other people follow you. So I'm wondering, in this world that you aspire to be in, I'm wondering what things would be like. And the
I did
idea
a debate
that you're
with a Yenta that did this once with me.
the idea
She
that
totally
you're willing
changed her position on a lot of stuff like a
Right.
couple months later. It's
Awesome.
funny. The
I'm
extreme
happy.
examples
Right.
to
Awesome.
justify your narrative thing.
I'm happy for you that you
It's
had
funny.
that. I'm super
It's
happy.
really funny.
But yeah, like I'm just wondering if you're willing to throw out 1% of women. That's
Yeah.
that's a couple million women. It's a
Well,
lot.
I could get rid of 100% of this fake marriage by
Yeah, so
saying
like that's the
this
thing.
less-
My point is,
by
you're
saying
willing
this
to
less
make
than 1% of women aren't
you are
married.
willing
If-
to
if-
make human
if that's the
sacrifices
compromise I have to
for
make, then I would make that
you
compromise.
you are
yes.
willing to compromise on human values and lives. You are willing to deny people rights just in your agenda and in the pursuit of your
Oh, yeah.
agenda. You don't have
Yeah.
any loyalty to anybody,
I don't, huh?
and as a result, I wouldn't
Why?
say
Why
anybody
do I
should
have
have
no
any
loyalty to
you.
anybody?
Well, you're just saying, oh, if you don't fall into my specific category I created myself, that you don't deserve marriage.
I
rights.
didn't
It's
create
weird.
this category.
You did.
This category existed long before I existed.
Okay, well, you're aspiring to pass the torch along to its even
You're
smaller
talking about
generation than you
laws that
are.
were just enacted a couple years ago as if
Right,
they
yeah.
have been written in Sanskrit fucking 10,000 years ago
I'm
or
not.
something,
I'm
which is
not at
not
all.
the case at all.
I'm not. I'm just
So
wondering
gay
why
marriage
your
isn't some kind of
authoritarian
thing that's
worldview
been
is the correct
around
one.
for
But
500
anyway, I had
years.
fun.
Is legal.
I thought this was great.
Jeez.
I got to learn a lot about what goes on in that brain of yours. So thank you. I hope you have a fun time at your real job tomorrow.
Right.
Are you working tomorrow?
Yes, I am.
How often do you work a week? 5 days a
5
week?
days.
5 days. I'm great. Do you get weekends off?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so I hope again tomorrow's going to be a big day, right? You got a lot planned. Hopefully that
Right.
goes well. Hopefully you tell your wife and kids or whatever that you trolled the tranny for an hour, and hopefully you tell your little Discord server how well it went. But for the record, I did not run away from your debate. I'm here. We did it. It
Yeah, for
happened.
the record, you didn't. Right. For the
So
record, you didn't. Right. Like, here you go. Like, let me ask you this
right, make it
before
quick.
you get out of here. Like, how open are people that you consider right wing in talking with you? Do you actually try to actually have conversations like this?
I always do. I try to
How
have
open are
conversations
they?
with you.
Do they shut you down? Do they block you instantly? Stuff like that?
A lot of the time, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Almost
Because
every one of my shows, I have someone come in and say like, "I want to debate you," and then I ask them to like add me on Discord or hey, give me your phone number, and they seemingly just forget how to use a phone or
that might be some of the trolls, honestly. Like, some people looked into you before I did this, and yeah,
Right.
apparently you are on Kiwi Farms and
Hmm.
a couple other places where people like to post stuff to go troll people.
Right.
So apparently you are. I would say most of that is honestly trolls, just like straight up trolls.
Right. And trolls have no political ideology.
Well, I would say they're right wing, yeah.
Okay, so right wing
Yeah.
people not wanting to engage.
But they're like, these are kids. They're kids, like, 15-year-olds. All these
I
torchy headers.
there's a lot of people.
Right.
I know a few of them. Some of them I've gotten on the line, and let me tell you, you'd be surprised how old they are. But anyway, had a great time. Again, I'm here, so you can't say I didn't show up. So I'm crazy. You knew I was crazy going into this.
Yeah.
You know I'm a
Oh, yeah.
fucking lunatic, right?
Right.
And so the only point you really had was that I wouldn't debate you and I'd run away. I'm here. I did it. I tried. You got to give me that one. And
I
let's
wouldn't
just
say it's the
agree to
only point I
disagree.
had, but
Well,
like you do have the point that you showed up. I mean, nobody
Yeah.
can take that away from you.
I got the participation trophy, right?
Yep. Yes,
See?
yes.
See?
Very well said. Very well said.
Exactly. I'm glad you got a kick out of that. But anyway, it's past my bedtime, so I'll catch you later, buddy. If you decide
right.
are you going to post this? Were you recording this?
Yeah, I'm recording it.
Okay,
I'm not
you're gonna post it?
tonight. I'm about to go to bed.
All right, me too. I'm going to post this in the morning. All right. Let me know how it goes. Keep in touch, bud. You have a good one?
All right. Take it easy.
All right. Whew! Oh, God. I'm too fucking high for this, dude. I fucking swear to God.